Hi everyone, today we continue our story, Sherlock Holmes, and we are going to start from chapter 6, The Top Secret Plans Come Home. As you know, we have finished chapter 4 and 5 and we are going to continue. Just to remind you, the last scene of chapter 5 was that Mr. Sherlock Holmes and Dr. Watson were waiting inside the house of Mr. Oberstein to know who was the thief and who was the killer. Now let's start. Holmes, who went downstairs in the dark and opened the door. Come in, he said. He heard someone come upstairs with him. When they were in the sitting room, Holmes quietly closed the door behind them. I lit the lamp. The man saw us, pushed past Holmes, and began to run away across the room. Suddenly, he fell over something and hit his head on the door. He gave a cry and closed his eyes at once and fell back at our feet. Sherlock, who is this? Asked Mycroft. As you know, Mycroft Holmes is Sherlock Holmes's brother, and he is a very important official who works for the government. And Sherlock Holmes replied, Colonel Valentine Walter, Sir James's brother. As you know, we have Sir James Walter, one of the two persons who have the keys to Woolwich Arsenal, and his brother Colonel Valentine Walter. So it was a surprise for everyone to find that the man who was coming to Mr. Oberstein's house is Colonel Valentine Walter. Answered Sherlock. You see, Watson, the colonel didn't tell us everything. I felt it. Do you remember? I do, I answered, and you were right. I helped Lestrade. And who is Lestrade? Lestrade is Mr. Mycroft Holmes's friend, and he is a very important policeman in England. I helped Lestrade to put Colonel Walter on a chair. After some minutes, he opened his eyes. He looked nervously at us all. What's happening? He asked worriedly. I wanted to see Mr. Oberstein. And as you know, Mr. Oberstein is a foreign agent, or the most important and dangerous foreign agent in England. And his second name, as you know, Pero, or Pero, perhaps, said Holmes. Colonel Walter, we know everything. You took the Bruce Barrington plans. You wanted to sell them, and Arthur Cadogan died here. The colonel said nothing. The colonel said nothing. Tell us your story, said Holmes. Perhaps it can help. Sherlock Holmes asked the colonel to tell him what happened or the story. Perhaps it can help. The colonel put his head in his hands, but didn't speak. Then I'm going to tell the story, said Holmes. You need money. You needed money quickly because you had money troubles. A question here. In your opinion, why did Colonel Valentine do something like that or stole the papers? Because he had money troubles. So you made copies of your brother's keys to Woolwich Arsenal, to the office, and to the safe. Another question is, how could the colonel break into Woolwich Arsenal? Or how could the colonel steal the papers? He made a copy, or he copies the keys to Woolwich Arsenal from his brothers, and he break into the office. You wrote to Oberstein, and he bought messages in the time for you. On Monday night, you went to Woolwich Arsenal in the fog. You wanted to take the plans from the safe, but Cadogan saw you in the street and came after you. Perhaps he knew something of your money troubles. The question here is who saw Colonel Valentine while stealing the papers from Woolwich? Of course, Sir Cadogan, and he followed him to know what's happened. At Woolwich Arsenal, he watched you open the safe from the tree in front of the office. You took the papers, left Woolwich, and took a train to London. What happened after that? Sir or Colonel Valentine takes the papers and went and went to London. Cadogan went after you and took the same train in London. You walked to Kensington, or perhaps you took a cab. And you